Let's see. So, everyone's favorite topic, sex, or more specifically, libido. So, I've talked about this in the past, but here we go again. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about transmasculine experience with libido changes, and then I'm going to talk about transfeminine changes. Folks, I gotta say, the testosterone section is probably going to be much shorter than the feminine section. It's just easier to cover, at least from my perspective. Maybe not from yours, but from mine. At any rate, so when folks go on testosterone therapy, a lot of times, no matter how much they may be well read about it, or how many times I might have told them about it, or their own provider, they're pretty surprised at how horny it makes them. And I mean, like, I'm talking, if you're doing full dose testosterone therapy, looking for a full masculinization, it can be pretty overwhelming. And this is seen, in fact, and reflected in cisgender male development. Whenever you see, say, a cisgender teenage boy losing their minds over, you know, somebody showing a little bit of cleavage on TV, this is pretty much the same thing. Now, they are younger, have a less mature brain. We like to think anyway. And so generally speaking, the teenagers are going to have a harder time dealing with the overwhelming sensations and things that hormones are going to throw at them. As you live and grow, you get used to these things and you learn how to deal with them. But even though you're going to be approaching this with an adult mindset, it's still going to be a very new experience for folks who have never had, you know, quote unquote male testosterone levels kicking around in their body. So do be prepared and understand that the things you're experiencing are perfectly natural. They do tend to cool off a little bit as time goes on and you get used to it. But it definitely is an ordeal to make it through whenever it first starts hitting you. And it can be especially surprising for those who identify as ace or asexual, because they're suddenly struck with these feelings that they're like, whoa, this was never anything that I really wanted to have happening before. And it might take some reevaluation of, you know, what you want to do with that. But anyway, so do be prepared. While testosterone does also change certain parts of your body that are sexual in nature, I've already discussed that in other videos prior to this. So this one just regarding libido. For the masculinizing crowd on testosterone, honestly, 95% of y'all need to prepare for a very much increased libido. You'll learn how to deal with it over time, but it really, you know, it can drive you nuts for a little bit there. And even for those who are on a more like slow, low, or non-binary androgynous type dosing, you can see a sharp uptick in sexual desire, libido, and whatever. And then one last point for those on testosterone therapy, a lot of folks will hear stuff like, oh, you go on hormone therapy and it can change your sexual orientation. No, it's not going to change your sexual orientation, but it may enhance or open up doors that previously were only cracked. So it may take someone who was a little bit more conservative in their sexual practices into a different realm where they're a little bit more exploratory, a little bit more into experimenting with new things, as well as if you have someone who perhaps identified as homosexual, heterosexual, whatever, you know, one of the more binary sexualities or so, you may find that a little door may creak open to where you might be more open to exploring other areas of sexuality. This is not changing your base sexuality. Whatever it's opening was already there. That door was already there, but it does kind of open the mind to potential things down the road. So anyways, changing sexualities definitely going to have to be a myth there, but it can cause some new roads to open up before someone. Anyways, so fun times, right? So, masculine folks, be prepared. Now, let's move on to trans-feminine experiences. So, trans-feminine folks, just like trans-masculine folks, when they go on estrogen therapy, whether or not they're using testosterone blockers with it, or if they're doing estrogen solo therapy like we usually do most of the time here at this clinic, whichever way you do it, when testosterone levels drop, so does libido. It can drop like a stone. It drops off so severely that some people are actually worried that something is wrong. And just like with the masculine folks, no matter how much I tell people or how well read they may be going into this, it usually comes as a complete surprise how sudden and how extreme it can be. So usually it'll go like this. I'll get a message like I did today from someone who is asking, how can I change my libido? Oh my God, this is like, I can't figure out what's going on. I used to be very amorous and now I'm just kind of like, meh. So here's the deal with this. And this is going to apply mostly to those who are seeking a more binary feminine transition, those on full dose estradiol, full dose estrogen therapy, looking to drop their testosterone levels all the way down to within quote unquote feminine range and raise their estrogen levels into the quote unquote feminine range. So your libido will never be the same. It's not ever going to go back to that baseline where it was, because that baseline was going to be very, very, very much testosterone driven. And testosterone is a powerful driver of sexual desire. As if you watched the part about the masculine folks on testosterone, you would have heard how drastically it can change and increase their libido. Whenever you drop testosterone, same thing happens, just in the opposite. It usually completely kills sex drive, and then you're barely able to even do much of anything function-wise with the genitals, and that can be very upsetting for some folks. It can be very reassuring for other folks. It just really depends. Now, is there a solution to that is usually the next question. Sort of, but not really. So there's a lot of snake oil out there that people try to sell, and it really sucks. They've been aiming this crap at cis women for decades, saying, oh, we can increase your libido if you just drink this crap here, just take this pill, just do that. For the most part, it's all crap. And they're just trying to sell you something. Same thing goes for trans feminine people. There's not like a magic pill that's going to cause an increase in libido. Some people will throw out there and say, well, I got on progesterone, and so now I have, increased sexual desire. This is true for a small subset of people, and what's usually happening here is they're taking progesterone and it's actually converting into androgens, which are masculine hormones. So instead of getting progesterone, you're actually taking the progesterone and it's converting in your body into androgens, which are masculine hormones, which cause the same things that testosterone is going to cause libido-wise. So some people are okay with that. Great. Some people are like, no, that's not what I want. That's for you to figure out yourself. But progesterone is not like the savior pill for the libido. People will say, oh, try Cialis or Viagra. That's not going to solve libido. That may help a small subset of people with functionality of the downstairs area, but it also may not help with that at all, and in many cases doesn't, because the large problem that caused the issues down there is the decreased testosterone, and Viagra, Cialis, and all those don't help with testosterone. They literally just increase blood flow to that area, or increase the possibility of blood flow to that area, as well as many others, which is why you get some side effects that you do. But anyway, those are not going to be a solution to a low libido either. So anyways, I know it sounds crappy because everyone likes to think that there's a medical answer for everything. Your mileage may vary with some of the over-the-counter herbal treatments and things. I'm not an herbal person that's very knowledgeable about that. I don't hate on it. I just don't know very much about it. I've heard some people say that there are some herbal things that worked for them out there, but like I said, your mileage may vary. I've had people try the exact same things that were recommended with absolutely no success. So, like I said, it sucks to hear it, but there is no real fix to the libido problem for trans feminine individuals. Not an immediate fix. Now follow me here, because it's not like the end of the world or everything. This is going to be a period of transition and discovery for you. Generally speaking, the timeline that I usually see is that the first 12 to 18 months of estrogen hormone therapy tend to be when the worst of the just boop libido drop happens. This is going to be a period of flux for you. The body is going to be undergoing a lot of stress, and it takes time to get through that. It takes time for the body to adjust to the new hormone levels that it has to work with. And so what you need to do is basically pause, take a breath, and just get through it. Don't look here, there, and everywhere to spend money on some snake oil bullshit to solve this, when usually somewhere close to around the 2nd year mark is when people start seeing an emergence of a different libido identity. Now, the reason I say a different identity is because it's going to be a more feminine driven, feminine sourced libido. This kind of sounds funny and, you know, stereotypical and everything, but there are a lot of things that hormones cause to happen that are pretty stereotypical. Mood swings, anyone? But anyways, so when you're thinking about this, going in, to hormone therapy and everything, keep in mind that that first year and a half is probably going to be just for sexual activity. It may not be. Some few people do actually get through it and it's fine. It changes, but they're able to roll with it and things work still. But the vast majority, not so much. So think of this time period as your, quote, college years. You know, a lot of people, whenever they're college age, they may or may not be in college. Who cares? We're just using that as a term right now. The college years are years of, experimentation, sexual exploration, finding yourself. This is actually going to be true for this time in your transition as well. It's a time to explore, be open-minded, do a lot of introspection and thinking. If you have a partner who's willing to, try new things with you, great. If not, do them on your own, whatever you're comfortable with. So during this time period, be open to things, whether they work or not. You're going to kind of have to rediscover your own body. Not everyone's going to end up at the same end point, but like I said, no one's ever going to return 100% to baseline as long as their hormones have completely changed patterning. And so at the end point, whenever you start discovering what works for you now as opposed to before, and how you feel now as opposed to before, you find what works for you. This is going to be very helpful as you move forward to do some exploration, self-introspection, thinking, and everything like that. And so once you get to that point, it's usually pretty great, because then, breathe a sigh of relief. I figured it out. Some people will describe, okay, now when I finally begin to be able to orgasm again, it's much different than what it used to be. More commonly, orgasm is not going to involve much of the actual ejaculate fluid anymore. That's either going to disappear altogether or be very, very, very small in quantity. It usually decreases from the color like white and goes more to either just cloudy or actually all the way clear. These are all normal changes that result whenever you have a severe drop in testosterone levels. And so that kind of visual sexual activity of the, ejaculate and everything changes as well. And a lot of people are bothered by this at first. It's one of those things, again, you get used to, you move on, you figure out what is new now that's going to be happening whenever that activity culminates. Or doesn't. I mean, some people don't. So again, be open to trying new things, exploring yourself, talking things through with either your provider, your partner, or a trusted friend. Be wary of people on the internet. Anyway, because there is some really weird wackadoodle advice out there. Once again, I know I say that a lot, but there really is. Like, there's some strange advice out there. But anyways, so there's no magic pill. But there is a time where you need to self-educate, I guess would be a good word. You know, self-educate, find out what has changed, what is different, and what's evolving, and what's going to work for you in the end. Because also keep in mind, a lot of parts on you are going to be changing, such as, just for example, like the nipple area. A lot of people go into this and they never thought of the nipple area or anywhere on the chest being an erogenous zone for them at all. But once things have started developing or completed developing on the chest, they find that that's now a major center of activity as far as sexual activity goes for them. So some of these changes actually you need to go through the transitional physical changes also through to completion before you start seeing the benefits and reaping the rewards, so to speak. So anyways, hopefully this has given people something to think about. It's given you some hope as well. I know a lot of people, like I said, it freaks them out. No matter how much they know going in, actually experiencing it yourself can be quite frightful. Oh, and I guess I should mention the only sort of kind of compromise that does work most of the time for a return of a libido is to allow your testosterone level to creep up. To where? It's different for everybody. Some people, like let's say you suppress your testosterone level down to, like I've mentioned in other videos, I like it to be somewhere between maybe 5 and 60 or something, you know, and that's in GTL. So 5 to 60, that's the quote feminine range, so to speak. And some people, if they let it ride up to like 100 to 150, that does the trick. Other people have to let it ride up into the 200s. It's different for everybody, and you have to do what you're comfortable with. So, but that does solve the problem that is caused by low testosterone by letting some of that T come back up. And to do that, like I said, it depends on your medication regimen. If you're on T blockers, maybe reducing the dose or going off of them. Or if you're on solo estrogen therapy, then maybe reducing the dose of estrogen a little bit. Either way, whatever works, whatever you're comfortable with, that's about the only way you're going to see any kind of actual like libido return during this initial period whenever it has dropped off so severely from the lowering of testosterone levels. All that other stuff, there's no real medical stuff, no pill that, you know, I can prescribe you that's going to be a guarantee to really help you out. And as far as the over-the-counter stuff, like I said, I haven't seen any of my patients report yet that they have found something that absolutely has worked for them. I've had a couple of people say, yeah, I took something and maybe it did something, you know, that's, I don't know, that may just be placebo effect or wishful thinking. So my best advice, that first 12 to 18 months, explore, be open-minded, and just kind of duck your head and get through there. After that, if problems still persist, then that is going to be something you need to discuss with your provider, because you may need to adjust those hormone levels again and see if that is going to help you out. But again, that's usually going to be somewhere closer to around like the 2-year or further out mark of hormone therapy, just so that you can allow your body to go through these changes, make the adjustments, and also have some of those physical changes have come at least mostly through to fruition, so that, you know, we know that the zones that need to develop have developed, and so the opportunity is there for you to be able to test them out and learn things about yourself. Anyways, as usual, this video has gone on much longer than I intended it to because I tend to just ramble. I hope this helped someone. See y'all later. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful New Year from here, this is December 2023, so I don't know when you're watching this video, but whenever you do, I hope you have a wonderful life. All right, bye.